What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this Diddy trial, man. It's just so crazy. It seems like every day, you have like new allegations and somebody else coming forward saying that Diddy did this to him and Diddy did that. But and it's a lot of crazy allegations and salacious type statements coming out about Diddy, right? And so but what I want to speak to is like the brand, like and like how each member of a family has a responsibility to protect the brand, the family brand. And sometimes fathers or the person like the person who is a head of the family forget that, and or they just think that they don't have to that like that rule don't apply to them. And I think in this situation that's what Diddy has done. Like, he has put his sons and, more importantly, his daughters in a position where, as though, like, he brought shame to the family, and that's public embarrassment. But some of the allegations and stuff that's going against him, just imagine being like his daughter or one of his daughters, and then you have to deal with that public shame and that public embarrassment. And like, parents embarrass their kids, anyway, when they do stuff like I don't know, like when they act younger than what they are, or they might act silly, or they might tell a joke, and if their friends around, the kids will get embarrassed, or maybe a parent might say something about sex, and that'll embarrass the kids, because the last thing a kid want to do, they don't want that mental image, right? Or anything, those kind of images, you know what I mean? Because they don't want to see that, they don't want to hear that. But for this kind of stuff to be out in the public against, your father and stuff like that, I know it's really tough on the kids. I don't know how much the boys was aware of this stuff, but the girls, I know it's got to be tough on them when you hear about, like, this young lady, how she was allegedly abused. What's her name, Cassie, um and how she had to call people, and set up these so-called freak offs, or how, men, um so much friction and stuff in her mouth that it caused sores, and that she was, she had mouth sores, so she couldn't, it was hard for her to eat, or hard for her to talk. Like, that kind of stuff you don't want your kids to go through. And so now his kids know that people look at their father a certain kind of way that affects them. And it's important for, parents, and, like I said, everybody in the family to protect that brand. And when you think that you have money and all this power and stuff like that, that you're beyond somebody, you like, these rules don't apply to you, you beyond like what normal people have to do, then this is the kind of situations that you find yourself in. And so he's being charged with all these different sex crimes, and then crime in general. And so all this stuff is going to be thrown in the faces, especially of the girls. Like, the boys seem to be like, like, sticking by his side, or just trying to take this situation a little bit different, because they are tougher, because they probably was aware of more of the stuff than these girls probably was. So he probably sheltered them, and they probably had like a different type of perception of who their father was, especially by them being so young. They had a different type of perspective of who their father was, right? And I'm not even speaking to like his innocence or guilt, because the charges that are hit, like these charges were like state charges, and I don't even know why, like, the federal government is really talking about this the abuse charges because that situation is a state charge, and that situation has already been, like he's not even being charged with that. So maybe they just trying to set the stage so they can go into like the Rico stuff, those Rico's allegations, and the allegations as far as like him being trafficking people, and that's another charge. Like a lot of sometimes these guys have charges like they don't have mothers, sisters, daughters, female cousins or aunts and stuff like that. They just like no regard for women, no regard for the women outside of their family or how it's gonna, or the women in their family. Like, how is this gonna make you look to the women in your family? I can never, that's why this case right here is just, and I usually don't even respond to or make videos about, like Puff Daddy. It's been a while since I did a Puff Daddy video anyway. But when a person like chooses to do these type of things or be associated with these type of things, you really not just taking yourself down, you're taking your family down. And so, I don't care how many people say, well, he innocent and he didn't, like it's just too many people, for him to, and he up against so many charges, like everybody can't be lying. And that's just the way I feel about it. I'm not saying that he's guilty of this or he guilty of that, but it's hard to believe that everybody that's coming out against him is lying. And so um I think he has like 43 different counts against him. And he basically, each one of those counts carries some serious time. So basically, he has to bet 1,000. He has to bet 1,000 in order for him not to be able to do any time because all of these charges are serious charges. I don't know. That's just crazy. And then when you think about it from a generational wealth um aspect, if you're trying to set your family up in a position, your sons, your daughters, you're trying to set them up in a position where as though they're not going to have to work. If they want to start a business, we have money set aside so you can do that. If you want to become a realtor, we have money set aside so you can do that. You can invest in certain things. You want to go to college, we got money set aside so you can do that. But now it looks like, all of the money that's set aside, that's cutting into the generational wealth when you put your family's brand at risk like this. Um it's just crazy, like you put your kids in a position where as though they're gonna have to start back over from the bottom. And not only are they gonna have to start over from the bottom, then they're gonna have to start over with with this embarrassment, with this ridicule, and all these allegations against them. And so that's really a tough spot to be in as far as the kids are concerned. And that just goes to show, like when one person sell their soul, like they take down the whole family. You take down the whole family, not just his generation, but the generations that come after them. You take that down. So his kids are going to be affected by this, and his grandkids. Like I said, because you can't pass none of that. The prestige part of your life is that's a wash. Whether we win this case or not, that's a wash. That's gone away. And then the money, now they just working on the money part of it. Like, these lawyers are charging him hundreds of dollars by the hour. Then on top of that, then you have these lawsuits, these civil cases that are pending. So all that affects you being able to do for your family and provide for your family the way you wanted to. Like y- that money won't be there. That money will be going towards somebody else. So this is a perfect example of like when you sell yourself out like that, you not only take yourself down, but you take down the generations coming after you. And with that being said, I don't even think like Cassie They say she won like $30 million, right? And that I don't even think like that $30 million is really going to benefit her because if you look at like she's used to an extravagant lifestyle. So I think like within the next 5 or so years, she probably gonna be broke. Believe it or not, I say I give her 7 years at the most, and I think she's gonna be broke because she don't strike me as somebody who's used to being a an investor. She's somebody she's a consumer. She's always had to just that's all she's had to do. So when somebody put $30 million in your lap and all you have ever done was consume, you've never invested in nothing. Um, you know, and now you got $30 million and you want to be able to invest because that's the only way you're going to be able to keep that money or grow that money. That's a tough, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. And then if you hire somebody to show you how to invest, they're gonna steal it. So, it's just crazy. It's a crazy situation for everybody involved, people directly involved, people who are indirectly involved. It's just a crazy situation. And so that's my take on it. With that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about, like the responsibility of everybody in the family to protect the brand. And I'll check you all out in the next episode. Peace.